Hello and welcome to Godzilla vs. Kong Ending Explained and what is next for the Monsterverse. If you haven't seen Godzilla vs. Kong, there will be full spoilers, so please don't watch this video. Please do go and watch it because I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you haven't seen my review, I'll leave it linked above. But saying that, we are joined by Jasper, my lovely assistant today, to talk about Godzilla vs. Kong because he just seems to be staring. Right, anyway. So let's talk about the ending explained and a little bit of, I guess, who won and some of the Easter eggs in Godzilla vs. Kong, because there was a lot, and I went through some of them, the majority of them anyway, in my review, so this will be a bit of a recap. But I really want to kind of delve into, I guess, the psychology, an overview of the psychology of the ending explained. Anyway. So of course we have our massive final standoff in Hong Kong. I will say they missed the trick there. It should have been Tokyo. But I think they did Hong Kong because of course Legendary is part owned by Chinese company Tencent. I believe it's Tencent. Anyway, not 100% certain on that. But I know that they're part Chinese owned. So we have the final showdown in Hong Kong where Kong actually wins the second round. Now this is really important. In the film, they document who wins each round, each altercation between the two titans, which of course, the only reason they're going up against one another is not a contrived thing. They set it up in King of the Monsters novelization. It is set up because Kong is an alpha titan, and so is Godzilla. Neither will bow. And that's the thing. They set that up in King of the Monsters. What happened with Kong hearing King Ghidorah's call? He heard the call, of course, which summoned all of the other non-alpha titans, but Kong heard it and he ignored it. So that was the setup for this, and I think that was really, really smart. It wasn't a contrived way. You know, if Godzilla senses another alpha titan, he's going to go and battle them. Why? Well, he's an animal at the end of the day, and I liked that. So anyway, obviously contrived, non-contrived, they set up each battle. Godzilla wins the first one. It's in the water. Of course he wins. Kong wins the second one. And then Godzilla absolutely gets the slam dunk on the third battle. So much so that we have to get the homage to the original King Kong versus Godzilla, where Kong gets supercharged with electricity. Now, it's a throwback to that movie, but obviously in this one, it's because Godzilla firmly gets the beat down on Kong, so much so that his heart starts to slow down and basically he's dying, he's about to die. So they have to supercharge him with an electrical pulse that could light up Las Vegas, which they had in the HEAV, the Hollow Earth Aerial Vehicle. I really liked that throwback. I thought that was fantastic. Now obviously in the midst of all of that, we then get Mecha Godzilla, but actually it's Mecha Ghidorah. Now, that was something which I wanted to sort of delve into and explain. It's something which I think they explained enough of in the movie for people to get it, and I liked it. I thought that was a really good addition. Mecha Godzilla looked absolutely amazing, mind-blowing. In fact, it was fantastic. Now, obviously, that was established by Apex when the Rise of the Titans happened. They wanted to be the apex predator on Earth. They wanted to regain humanity's strength against these titans, which I do actually think is a natural progression. It's something which you would do. You wouldn't want to just, allow titans to run around unchecked. So I do think it was quite smart. But obviously the way they went around it was to harness and utilize King Ghidorah's severed head. Kevin's severed head, I believe it was. What was known as Kevin. Anyway, and because they had that head, they managed to pilot Mechagodzilla through the head with psionic brainwaves. Now, they used a very throwaway character, which was Ren Serizawa, Dr. Serizawa's son, who obviously sacrificed himself for, basically rejuvenating and saving Godzilla. Now, that was a big shame that they didn't flesh out that character enough, because as we saw and as we discussed the ending of this film anyway, as we start to push out Mechagodzilla into the fray, because they've managed to harness the power source in the center of the hollow earth and use it to reach Mechagodzilla's full power capacity, something happens. Something happens with the piloting mechanism for Mechagodzilla. Now this is where it becomes Mecha Ghidorah, and it absolutely did become Mecha Ghidorah. What happened was the link between pilot and mechanized Titan severs. It fully severs, and Ren Serizawa gets electrocuted. He is not in control of that Titan at all. Now the Titan is still linked to satellites, and I'm unsure, because they didn't explain it, of why that affected anything to do with the Titan, to do with Mecha Godzilla. But at that point, it definitely becomes Mecha Ghidorah. And that was a throwback. I really liked that as a throwback because, yes, epic, we're getting Mecha Godzilla. But oh no, wait. Very Easter egg mechanism of having Mecha Godzilla. It's actually Mecha Ghidorah. I loved it. I thought that was really, really smart. Now, of course, when we get into that final fight with Mecha Godzilla and Godzilla, Godzilla is on the ropes. He absolutely is on the ropes. And without supercharging Kong and Kong jumping into the fight, Godzilla would die. Godzilla would die. So although we know that Godzilla won 2 rounds in the face-off between Kong, without Kong's help against Mechagodzilla, Mecha Ghidorah, it just simply wouldn't have... he wouldn't have survived. Godzilla would have been destroyed. Now, I really liked the battle between Mechagodzilla and Godzilla. Interestingly, I said in my review that when Mechagodzilla grabs Godzilla's mouth and pulls it open, ready to do a blast down his throat, I likened it to the way Ghidorah got killed, how the atomic breath went down his throat and, kind of exploded out of his mouth and things like that. Now, there was someone who chimed in on that and said, well, no, actually, that's the way Godzilla destroyed the Mutos. So I guess you could say they're both Easter eggs there. But you could absolutely see that sort of Ghidorah influence coming through in that mechanized Titan. Now, like I say, obviously, Kong assists that battle. Without Kong, Godzilla would be dead, absolutely unequivocally. But also, without Godzilla, Kong would be dead, because Kong is on the ropes at a certain point, and Godzilla sees that, and he supercharges the axe with the atomic breath, which is the same substance, the same power source, which is being funneled into the hollow earth. Which is interesting, because it almost seems that Godzilla and the hollow earth are sort of inextricably linked together. It's like a symbiosis. One powers the other, and they literally have an identical power source. It's very, very interesting. But when Godzilla powers up the axe, Kong goes to town, hacks Mechagodzilla apart, and he dies. He absolutely dies. Now this is where we get to the real meat of who wins at this point. Because you could sort of say 2 for 2. Sort of. I would still say Godzilla won. The majority, he won the 2 fights, and without the human interaction, which Godzilla didn't have any human help, but without the human help, Kong wouldn't have survived. So there's your definitive winner anyway, in my eyes, is Godzilla wins. Now, a lot of people say that this movie is a Kong movie, not a Godzilla movie, and Godzilla's just sidelined in his own film. It's a Kong film. I don't think Godzilla's sidelined. It is a Kong film. They humanized Kong to get that reaction from people, and I didn't hate it. Didn't hate it at all. But here's where we get to the real meat of it. Because Kong is spent. Kong is on the floor, he's spent, and so is Godzilla. Like, absolutely, Godzilla is pretty spent at that point. But Godzilla gets up. Godzilla is the one which approaches Kong. And you can see he's ready. Like, you can see that he's ready to fight again. He'd rather not, but he's ready. And it comes from Kong. Kong drops the axe. He drops the axe. And it's that sign of mutual respect. Some would say submission, but I would say mutual respect. And that's the linchpin of Godzilla going, okay, I'm going to go off into the sea now. And he does. He just wades off into the ocean. And Kong then gets transported back to the Hollow Earth, where they have a brand new Monarch outpost documenting Kong, following him, tracking him in the Hollow Earth. So it's presumably now Monarch is firmly established, back up and running again, because in this movie they get sidelined for some weird ass reason I don't understand. But that's where we close. Kong lives in the Hollow Earth, and Godzilla is on the Earth, protecting it. And that's where we close. So Godzilla firmly wins in my eyes. Without Kong's sign of submission or mutual respect, Godzilla would have fought again, and he'd already beaten Kong once. I think he would have probably beaten him twice. I think he probably would have got him again. But again, without Kong, Godzilla would have died against Mechagodzilla. So it's really important to have those distinctions. Now, what's next for the Monsterverse? Can it continue? Where'd you go from here with the Monsterverse? Well, it's difficult, really. 2014's Godzilla, they introduced Godzilla as a threat, but not a threat, turns sort of into a protector, right? Then you have King of the Monsters, which firmly establishes him as a protector. It really does. Really, really does. But then in this one, instantly he's a villain again. Now, in the film, there's reasons for that, because Godzilla can sense Mechagodzilla, i.e. he can sense Ghidorah, right? He can sense him. But he's been sidelined, and he's been pushed to looking like a villain again. But then where do you go with Kong being in the Hollow Earth? Where do you go with this universe now? Now, some people would say it almost rounds itself up nicely as a close. I would say that it could absolutely move forward. Now, interestingly enough, we know that Netflix is having an anime series set on Skull Island, although in this film, not sure how that's going to work now, because of obviously Skull Island is basically destroyed in Godzilla vs. Kong. But where do you go with the two main titans? I wouldn't want to see them collide again. I wouldn't want that. I think that you're rehashing old battles, and I think that it would then become contrived as to how they interact and how they come into contact with one another. That would then become quite contrived at that point. But Legendary is sleeping. They have some epic monster designs that they have created for themselves. They could absolutely go ahead and use some of them. Firmly establish Godzilla as a protector again. And we already know Toho wants them to continue. They're happy for them to continue, but it's whether Legendary has brought the rights again. Legendary co-finance these movies with Warner Brothers. Legendary puts up 75% and Warner Brothers puts up 25% and then gets distribution rights. So it's a good deal, but it's whether they're going to get enough money. Now, this movie has already raked in 121.8 million worldwide when it only opened in 38 territories last week. It's now opening in even more this week. Obviously, it's now on a wider release. Let's see what it does. It's long been delayed, but I do think it's worthwhile, and I do think people will like it. So I do think that there's some hope for the Monsterverse yet, and I really hope that it comes to fruition. I hope we get a Godzilla film next, because this was a Kong film. Give us a Godzilla film where he is firmly established as the world's protector once more. You know, set him up properly as the world's protector. Have some needless exposition from the humans saying, well, we now know, obviously, because of Apex, and he heard Mechagodzill's call, and that's why he was going on a rampage. Silly us. Slap our wrists. Have something like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know a bit of a discussion video with not much going on the screen, but I do apologise. We can't use that many assets from Godzilla vs. Kong to overlay because they'll get copyright claimed, or you just have to use such a low res it becomes pointless. Thank you so much, though. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and a share. Take care.